Oh yeah, well I appreciate you having me up here too and chat about what we're doing, and I hope you guys had a great weekend as well.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if Austin, are you here, or I don't know if you had to step away for a minute, but I guess he's going to be hosting the AMA alongside myself, so get a little extra action from Austin. But
Awesome. Cool. I like
yeah,
it.
and the way that we like to start our AMAs is through a series of rapid fire questions. So these are kind of like setting the stage a little bit, and have some fun icebreakers. But if you're ready, we can go ahead and get started.
I am ready whenever. Let's do it.
All right. So the first question is ice cream or brownies?
Oh my god, why would you make me decide between that? If I had to decide, I'd decide ice cream for sure. I'm an ice cream freak.
What's your favorite type of ice cream?
Honestly, you can't make me decide that either, man. I don't really have a favorite.
Depends on the
Um,
day.
it really does. Sometimes I'm like a strawberry guy, like a fruity guy, and sometimes I like a mint chocolate chip. It just really just depends.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'd have to agree with you on that one. Usually, have you ever tried pistachio ice cream? That's like
I
weirdly
have, yeah.
really really good.
Yeah, no, I have. I loved that as a kid. Haven't had
Zach,
it in a long time though.
What's that, Austin?
get off the stage. You said you like pistachio ice cream.
Shoot. Well, Austin, what's your favorite ice cream?
Cookie dough, hands down, every day of the week.
All right, I'll respect it. It's not as good as pistachio, but I'll respect
Oh God.
it. All right. If you could only buy one for the rest of your life, would you rather do NFTs or tokens?
um, I mean, I feel like that decision can't really be made just yet. I feel like that requires a bit more precedent. Everything's just so new that at the current state, I wouldn't prefer to have my investments just be a bunch of JPEGs, but I also see that NFTs in the future are going to be far more utility, or have far more utility and long term utility. So it just depends. I mean, right now with the majority of NFTs out there, I'd rather say tokens and pick the right tokens. But in the future, I think that NFTs could represent just how we're doing it, ownership in a company. And so holding on to that, it's not just at all the visual value of the JPEG, but instead the ownership of a company. So you could buy into it and then you could forget about it. And potentially that company could grow to be really big and have a big piece of it. So it just depends. I don't think that we're there yet with the NFTs though.
Yeah, it's a definitely a fair response. I think most people in the community would choose tokens, but I don't think they necessarily have thought of it that way before. But yeah, that's a very good point.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the way we think about it over here specifically.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It makes sense, especially with what you guys are doing with making an NFT marketplace and having those fractionalized shares through NFTs. It's definitely a harder decision.
Oh yeah, we're doing a lot more than even just the marketplace. I mean, the marketplace is first kind of a proof of concept, shows that we can do what we say we can do. But really, the business is mainly around building many different streams of income, profitable Web3 platforms. Um, the way that we say it is fee producing platforms. So we're doing more than just that. That's in mind. But for the first few platforms we have being released, they're all platforms that are software as a service that provide access to something or the ability to do something, whether that's trading NFTs, whether that's trading tokens with a DEX, whether that's staking your tokens in an auto compounder so that you can earn an APY instead of an APR. Those are all platforms that take fees in exchange for enabling trading activity. So that's what we're doing. We're building many different services like that. Those fees that are taken, if they scale up, you could obviously take fees from a few people and just make $10, or you could take fees from millions of people and make millions of dollars. And so as you scale, the profit scales, and you actually can get into a business where you could pay people a substantial return, unlike plenty of other projects that are out right now that have 100,000, 200,000, 350,000, 500,000 different constituents, if you will, that they count as their NFT shareholders. And to pay 200,000 people anything significant, your business has to be a 8-figure business. But I'll keep blabbering about that. So we'll go to the next question.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get more into that shortly after these questions. But next question is Instagram or Facebook?
Instagram. I mean, they're both the same thing. Instagram's owned by Facebook, but I don't really go on Facebook anymore at all.
Got it. Yeah, I personally don't use either unless I'm using Facebook Marketplace. So
There you go. Yeah, I rarely use either as well. I think the last time I probably used one, it probably was for Facebook Marketplace to sell a table. But
Yep.
if I used it as social media, I haven't used Facebook in a long, long time.
Gotcha. Next question. Are you more of an emotional thinker or a more logical thinker?
Definitely logical.
Got it. Yeah, I think especially when you're trading, different cryptocurrencies, stocks, or really anything in general, it's tough to be an emotional thinker.
Yeah, you're probably gonna lose it all if you do that.
Yep. And then the last question on the list, would you rather go on vacation at a beach or tour a popular city?
Probably vacation on a beach, but it depends. If the popular city is somewhere in the world that I've never been before, then that seems interesting to me. Kind of depends. Do I hate people at the time? Have I been around a lot of people? Have I been hating my work and want to just go enjoy peace and quiet? Then I go to a beach. But if I maybe want to just go explore places, then I'll go to a city. I think it's always fun. I think that I really, really enjoy city living. I've actually thought about this the other day. Someone was having a conversation about this. I enjoy city living, but obviously we're creatures, we're animals still for this planet. And so I think living in a city where everything is man-made can cause you to not feel complete. So I think that having the ability to have both, where you have a city living and then you also have a property or a place that you can go, or you want a vacation in the middle of nowhere, or just enjoy nature. I feel like every human being needs that, or else we're just gonna go fucking jump off a bridge.
Yeah, that's fair. I gone to Canada a few times for fishing trips. It's kind of like in the middle of absolutely nowhere. It's like a 40-mile boat ride just to get to the destination. And it's always very different than the day-to-day work life, and it's a good escape. How about you, Austin?
I chose beach hands down because that's like such a reliable place. Like if I go to a city, it has to be, you know what I mean, like some cities have like places where they're only fun to visit in certain parts of the year. But like if I had to like choose like on a split moment, it would always be beach because that's like, that's consistent. Like you know what you're going to get.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's true.
Point. But yeah, we can get into a little bit about what AlphaShares is. Tell us a little bit about yourself and then kind of how you got started with the idea of having that NFT marketplace owned by the community. And I'm curious to hear, how that kind of came about.
Yeah, sure. I'll try to do my best to not talk anyone's ear off and blabber too much. I guess that's my practice. Talking about this all day, every day, is how to make this as succinct but efficient as possible. But I'm in real estate. I've been in real estate since I was 18. That's kind of my bread and butter. I'm a broker. I own a property management company. I own rental real estate, and that's kind of what I do for money. And so for the longest time, cryptocurrency and technology and stuff was just a side hobby for me. I've always been in technology and interested in not just the hardware, but also the software side of things since I was a kid. Been building computers since I was like 12 years old. Always been a PC gaming nerd and stuff like that. Was big in like Counter-Strike and made a lot of money there. Played a lot with professionals there. But real estate was like my main career choice. And that's actually what led me down this, but a combination of both, right? So like I said, I was really interested in technology. I was always a degen on Discord and checking out these things. I've been trading crypto since about 2016 when I first was buying on Binance and all the other exchanges then, not even Coinbase. And what idea sparked this all was actually a couple of different factors. One, I was in real estate. Two, I like technology. And three, I got into the degen corner of DeFi trading of kind of nodes as a service, reflection tokens, rebase tokens. I'm sure the majority of us that were here for the past year were also invested and involved in those things. And when I was invested in those things, some of them made me money, some of them I just lost money, some of them completely rugged me, and some of them made you feel like you were going to make money, but it was just a sham and it was just a Ponzi from the beginning. And as I was realizing that these were very unsustainable, that these were all based on a transfer of wealth, not any value creation, people just going around and saying, hey, invest in our token, and if you invest in our token, we're going to take the money that you invested, we're going to go transfer it to everyone else that invested. And that's just straight up a Ponzi. And as I was realizing that, I was wondering, why aren't people making any businesses that are traditional businesses, real businesses that have real income, and that real income is distributed back to holders? And as I thought about it more and more, I realized the reason for that is because you can sell it a lot easier if it's a Ponzi. You can create fake success in terms of returns to investors if it's a Ponzi. If the returns come from new investors, well, you just have to get enough new investors to make those returns to current investors seem high enough. And that's exactly how it works. It's a flywheel approach in the wrong way. You find a stranger who hears about your project, let's say a strong block, and they hear from someone else, oh my God, I put $100 in, I'm making $1 a day. And so then they go and they put $100 in. And then their experience about that is great because they're also making $1 a day. So they go tell some friends and their friends do it. And it's not until there's so many people making $1 a day that there's not enough people to come back in and put in $100. And so then the whole project crashes. And so to me, I thought it was important for the space to have protocols and projects, founders, if you will, that come and try to create a business that's a true business, where it's not at all based on a transfer of wealth, it's not at all based on new investors, but just the business activity. So I wanted to start this out with real estate. And the idea at first was fractionalizing a house. And so properties, as you know, as most of you know, and as I very well knew, because that was my main source of income, properties could be rented out as rental income, and different properties have different financial structures, but a lot of them make pretty good money. And I have a special way to manage them. I manage just furnished corporate traveling units, and so I can make a pretty good return with those. And so my idea was to use my property management company and my skills as a broker to go purchase a house. Let's say it's a $500,000 house. I'd go and fractionalize it into $50 tokens, 10,000 of them. And then you can go and put up the property on a DApp, show people the financial pro formas, show people the photos of the property, everything that they could potentially own, and then put those tokens up for $50 a pop. And for as little as $50, anyone could go and invest into 1/10,000th of that house. Not only do you actually own 1/10,000th of equity in that property, but you also earn 1/10,000th of the rental income. And so we could have a strategy for that property, rent it out for a certain number of years, sell it at a certain appreciation percentage, and then since you actually own 1/10,000th, you'd return, or we'd return to you the value of that equity as it increased once it appreciated enough and we sold. Stuff like that. Very cool idea, and I still want to tackle that idea in the future, but what I realized is it would take a lot of capital, a lot of money for overhead expenses, legal expenses, the development fees, everything, and way more money than I had with my business partner at the time, which was actually just, I went on LinkedIn and I took a couple of Solidity developers that were local to me to coffee. And I said, hey, do you guys know about, or do you know about the things that, the strong block tokens, these DeFi corner, and would you be interested in helping me with this real estate idea? And that's how I met my co-founder, John. Just like me, was investing in all these tokens, damn wizard when it comes to understanding Solidity and coding languages. He's a senior architect at a Fortune 500 company out here. Very, very established, very professional, very knowledgeable. And so I needed that. I'm not technical, right? I know a lot of these things from a hobbyist standpoint, but I can't go stare at a computer like it's the damn Matrix. And so I needed him. And what we decided was, well, to do something like this, we need to raise some capital. We either need to raise it a traditional way, where we could, go put together a pro forma, put together the business plan, put together the financials, go and raise the money from people traditionally. But another thing that we saw was by trading in this space, we saw a lot of people making a lot of money in a short period of time, and you'd see the majority of the time those people just walking away. Whether they rugged it, walked away blatantly, or they just kind of let the project fail, and then they walked away with whatever profits were left over. We found that especially a project that I was into, it went from a $35,000 market cap to a $3 million market cap. My $350 turned to $10,000. I was like, dang. But then I looked and I saw the founders made 170 grand in 2 weeks. And I was like, holy crap. And it was a reflection token. And so what John and I decided to do is this was the start of Alpha Nodes, is we wanted to go and tackle this idea. We wanted to go and create a real true passive income protocol using real business activity. The initial idea was to do this in real estate and to use real estate as that catalyst for that real business activity. But what we did was we launched Alpha Nodes, which is a reflection token. Luckily, we launched it in February, which was still during the bull market. A lot of people were still interested in getting into these reflection tokens, these Ponzi tokens, getting in early, basically, into a token that they could then ride the wave, make the money, and then they could back out. And so we told people that this is what it is. It's a reflection token. You can get in early. Obviously, getting in earlier than later will make you more money. But the main premise for this token, the reason for it, is because we're building a team. And we're using this money and have 6% of this 18% tax on our token was going to build a treasury. And our treasury, we built about 500,000 treasury in just a couple months. I think it was actually about 5 or 6 weeks. In the first 2 to 3 weeks, we were making 100 grand a week. And so we were like, holy crap, this is insane. We need to actually do something with this. The plan is working. And we didn't expect the plan to work so well when we first were like, hey, let's just launch a reflection token and see how it goes. Maybe we'll raise the capital we need. We did not expect it to happen like this. But since it did, we went full steam ahead, building our team, finding our studio for our NFT project, and developing out the plan. So I looked at the industry as a whole. Where can we go and create a real business with enough money to pay passive income to, let's say, 10,000 people if we made a collection of 10,000? And I looked and I saw in the Web3 industry, the NFT space was the biggest space with the most amount of volume and the most infant, right? So token volumes obviously are much bigger than NFT volumes, but what's a growing industry in the NFT space was, it went from in 2021 a $400 to $600 million industry for that whole year to a $10 billion plus industry in 2021. It was from 2020 to 2021. I might have gotten those dates wrong. But either way, that year increase was massively, or massive. And so to us, that was a massive flag that, hey, this is an industry we could potentially take part in. And who are the current players in this industry? We very well know of OpenSea and LooksRare and Magic Eden. OpenSea and LooksRare specifically were the kings at that point, and they were both doing about $100 million to $200 million per day in volume because they took the majority of the market share. Out of that, they take 2.5% fees, meaning they make between $2.5 to $6 million per day in straight profit. That profit goes back to centralized groups of investors, venture capitalists, private equity firms, angel investors, so on and so forth. The traditional investment route. And it works probably really well for them. They're probably very happy with their investment there because they're making millions of dollars a year. So what we wanted to do is, let's target that. Even if we take 1% of the market share of one of the big players, that means that we're doing about $1 million a day in volume. And doing $1 million a day in volume, especially at current prices and what it costs to get into our NFT, that's a massive return for someone that invests into one of our NFTs. And so the way that our business works is it's all dynamic. If the marketplace and all of our fees or all of our platforms make absolutely zero money, you make zero money. We're not a Ponzi. We're not inflationary. We're not going to go and incentivize people. What we're going to tell people is we're building a true business. We know how to operate businesses. Everyone on our team has built a business before and is here to make sure that this business succeeds. And if the business succeeds, then you all succeed. And so it's just that we really want to be seen kind of as the Ponzi killer. We hate Ponzinomics. We hate how people stress that these projects that have been coming up, like node projects and whatnot, are the future of passive income. And it's really just a lot of people that are these quote unquote founders just preying on others. So yeah, that's a lot. I don't want to really give too much more of a mouthful because that's kind of the majority of it, but I do love to give the background of kind of how this all started, why we're doing what we're doing. I feel like it kind of gives everyone more of an idea of the start of this. And so that's only really how I like to mention it to groups like yours that I feel like should know the beginning of how we started. But at this point, now that we've launched, the majority of this pitch, especially when I'm talking to people that are potentially going to be using the platform, we're really moving forward as just a premium marketplace experience. So we're going to be selling multiple platforms, but at the end of the day, what we're making is a unique experience. I don't know if anyone here has checked out our site yet, but our marketplace feels and operates very differently than any other marketplace, and we're going to be structuring it and customizing it and presenting it far differently. And so at the end of the day, what's going to make us different than any other marketplace? Well, you own a portion of it. It's going to be a very unique experience, and we're going to offer everything under one hub. You can trade your tokens. You could trade your NFTs. You could stake your tokens. You could invest some tokens into a launchpad, so on and so forth. And we're already working with 3 different companies to launchpad them. So I'll shut up because I could keep talking. I'm sure that there's so much more that I can talk about, but I've been talking for quite some time, so I'll let some questions roll in.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a phenomenal backstory, and I think that really sets the stage well. A couple questions I had would be, you talk about if you could just take 1% of the market share away from one of the big players in the space, it would be a phenomenal return. And that sounds amazing, and it's definitely doable. But I think that's, obviously easier said than done. So what's your plan to be different than the other exchanges, be better, and really just get adopted as an NFT marketplace?
So it's a little bit different. I mean, when I first went and was pitching this, a lot of my pitch revolved around, an NFT marketplace is all about the user. It's about the people that are trading. It's not about necessarily the project. We obviously want projects that are owners of NFT collections to go say, hey, our NFT collection's listed on AlphaShares, go to AlphaShares to trade it. And that's a big focus of ours, is getting project founders to support us and want to list with us and want to be on our platform and drive their communities to us. But at the end of the day, what really matters is it's the community that's trading on the platform that brings it volume. The founder of the project could have no idea who we are, but their whole community could, and they could be trading their NFTs on our platform. So that's a big focus, is getting people to trade with us. One of the first, pushes to make that focus or to get that incentivized in front of people is, hey, you get to trade on a marketplace that you own a fraction of. And so we know that anyone that owns one of our NFTs, why would they go anywhere else to trade when they're going to earn more money trading on our platform because they're earning back a portion of their own trades? So that's one thing. But we only got a few hundred holders of our NFTs right now, and as that grows, we want hundreds of thousands of users, obviously. So we're building a unique experience, for one, where the actual UI, UX, look and feel of our marketplace is going to be vastly different than any others. That should interest quite a few people right off the bat, and at least just be a unique experience. But really what we're building is a whole hub of systems. So we can build, there's multiple facets of this. So the experience alone is what we really want to drive people to the marketplace. That experience means multiple things, though. That experience could be because of the UI and the UX, so how it actually feels, how it visually is appealing to you when you're using it. But more than that is when we release more platforms and services, they all tie into each other. And so every platform or service are services that most people that are trading tokens or trading NFTs are also going to use, like a DEX or like an auto compounder, or checking out a staking platform, or checking out the Launchpad. We really want to put everything in one spot. We're also going to be layering on top of the marketplace, what's called an AMM, which what that is for a DEX, which that's what a DEX is it's an automatic market maker. It goes and it connects you to liquidity pools, but you can aggregate as well for NFT marketplaces. So there's like an NFT marketplace aggregator called gem.xyz, got purchased by OpenSea, but we're already working on layering on something like that on top of our marketplace, where that's what the majority of traders right now are using, are aggregators that aggregate across all chains. And so when you want to go and flip all your Bored Apes, you want to sweep the floor, well, there's Bored Apes on OpenSea, there's some on LooksRare, there's some on X2Y2, and maybe across other marketplaces. And so an aggregator will go and look at where all of these are across any marketplace, and from one portal on one website will allow you to trade the NFTs across all platforms, any marketplace. And so you can keep it all in one section. And so those aggregators popped up just a few months ago, but they're taking over the game. And so they're actually being used almost more often than the marketplaces themselves. So that's something that we're building so that we can have that same experience. And if we can put everything in one house, it's a similar approach to like Amazon or Walmart, right? You take all the favorite brands that people love, but you give them an experience where they can go and purchase those brands, trade those brands, sell those brands, in an environment where they could do more than just that as well. And if you can offer them the convenience factor and the unique experience, then there's not much of a reason for them to go anywhere else. And so we're also just hired Think Randy, that's in here as well. He's on the team now. Awesome marketing guy and has a lot of experience. It's going to really help us take it to the next level when it comes to branching out, not just giving the unique experience, but ensuring that everybody from the outside knows, hey, this AlphaShares is really cool. it's a unique experience when we go and use it.
Yeah, that approach definitely makes sense to me, and I think there is that opportunity there, like you said, to improve on the current scenarios that we have with NFT marketplaces, to add more services to attract more people. And really
security is the biggest thing too. I didn't touch on security, but that's one of the biggest things here, is that a lot of marketplaces aren't super secure, whether that's because of scam collections launching on top or just the straight up contract security of them. Obviously, the top players out there are very secure, but OpenSea, Looksrare, Magic Eden, they get complaints every single day, multiple complaints a day about scam collections dropping in copycatting. And that's something that won't happen with us, because there can't be duplicates. We're going to have a system in place where anyone that wants to list with us, they can basically go through, a portal to list and put all their information in, upload their photos, put their links to their socials, blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't get listed right away. And it goes through an approval process. And so we have to then approve and make sure that this collection is actually tied to this contract address, which is tied to these socials. And so if it does work and we have a team that's checking everything, there's no way for a scam collection to get listed with us. And so no one will ever have to worry about that too. When a new project is like, hey, we're launching, we're having our mint on AlphaShare, there's never going to be another project that opens up and people try to sweep the floor of a scam.
Got it. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And one of the questions in chat was, is there any kind of gate for protocols that want to list on your platform, or is it currently only individual owners listing on the platform? So I know, like you said, you just touched up on that, but is there anything else to add to answer that question?
So we will have that gate. That portal is not up just yet. Right now, we are kind of individually adding protocols as they reach out to us or as we reach out to them. We're still in the process of building things. I mean, our launch last week was really proving that we can get out a marketplace that's fully fleshed out and more fleshed out than the majority of other marketplaces out there in terms of our filtering capabilities and searching capabilities. But we still have a couple things that we want to get fully built out before we can go and get onto Ethereum and make it so that anyone can go and apply. We don't have that portal where everyone can go and put in their information. Right now, we're collecting it manually. And then we're also in the process right now of building out our gasless transaction system and what's called an order management system, where we can far easier filter different traits, look at rarities. And then the gasless transaction system is so that when we get on Ethereum, you can go and make offers and place bids for it completely gas free. So you're just signing a transaction instead of paying a gas fee.
Got it. Yeah, and then I suppose the last question I'll ask before I'll hand it over to Austin. I know he's probably got a few really good questions. One of the questions in chat is, what are the price ranges and the benefits for the NFTs?
So we did have an auction, and the price range is different then. The auction's over, and so now it's just the base NFTs. And just to explain how that went as well for anyone that's maybe interested, we had our auction last weekend, and it went until Monday. And then on Monday is when it ended. And we had crazy last minute bidding, just a streak of competition where everyone was just trying to snipe everyone's bids at the very end. So that was really fun. We had just over 8,000, or just over 7,000 rather. I think it was 7,200 AVAX in volume just from those first 157 Genesis NFTs. And those were all bid on with AVAX. So those were purchased with straight Avalanche. The rest of the tokens, though, the remaining 9,843 out of the 10,000, those were minted with our alpha token. And so that's how that works, is it costs 100 billion alpha token. That's another thing, is we have a 1 quadrillion token supply. Another thing, that as we build our own DEX, we're most likely going to be wrapping our token into a much smaller decimal place token supply, so that we don't have to be dealing with billions of tokens, but instead we could do just hundreds or thousands. But right now it's 100 billion tokens, which is about $210 to purchase an NFT, and it converts 100 billion tokens plus 0.5 AVAX to get an NFT. And so we opened up our whitelist period right after that auction, and we sold out about 2,000. And then we have 1,000 open every week, and those open on every Tuesday. And so the last one opened last Tuesday, and within just about 22 hours, we sold out our first 1,000. And so everyone's just been waiting since last Tuesday. And so the next one opens up tomorrow. So tomorrow around, I think it's going to be 2:30 p.m. Pacific or 5:30 p.m. Eastern is when we go and open it up. So the next 1,000 batch will be open.
Nice, exciting stuff. Exciting stuff. And Austin, if you had any questions, I will hand it over to you.
Yeah, man. I think one of the biggest things that really caught my attention when you first were going over the intro of AlphaShares was because I love real estate. That's like my bread and butter. That's my favorite asset out of anything. So I definitely I like what you I like your background as well. That was really good.
Thank you.
And the biggest thing with AlphaShares is because I know you said that's where like one of the first main sectors you want to really capitalize on with this project is sharing revenue, essentially, where like you said you get a property and you fractionalize it and share the revenue. The biggest thing there is are you going to go about that as a company of SEC regulations where because I've had this interest as well, so this is kind of like on a personal note, and also for everybody listening, how are you going to go about making sure you're adhering to, are you a security, are you not a security, like how are you sharing revenue, and then with that whole SEC regulation, also the regulations within, as you know yourself, acquiring properties where you're taking money from the blockchain, then off ramping it to fiat, and still fulfilling the brokers that the requirements needed to get financing. Like how is all that going to go about?
That's a good question about the financing stuff, and I mean, there's a lot of stuff there that is obviously going to take more specific thinking there, and I really think that I kind of have an answer for you, and I'll give you what my thought process is. The reason why we're staying right now in the crypto sphere with all of this is because it's far easier to not have to worry about that. So our company is a foreign company. We do have a local domestic US-based entity, but the main company for us, for AlphaShares, is going to be foreign. Sorry, my voice is kind of going away. But that's because we don't want to have to worry about all of these things. What's going to happen is potentially once regulation and oversight comes into play from the government, we'll know what we have to do if we're dealing with US-based investors, because that's how that happens. Is if you have a foreign company, you can operate however you want with anyone, except for the US always loves to tell you how you can operate with US-based investors. And it's mainly at that point up to the investor to stop investing into something. And what we can do too is anyone that's in the United States, if regulation comes about in the Web3 space, and this is also exactly how it'll happen for real estate in a second, is you just have to KYC them. And so right now, the only issue is that if you're dealing with US-based investors that are receiving some sort of dividend income, the issue there is that you don't have their KYC information. And it's not even an issue yet because it's not even illegal. There's just no guidance around it when it comes to Web3, when it comes to the crypto sphere. And so the issue, and I spoke with a ton of attorneys with this, is the only thing you have to make sure you do is, for one, the SEC or IRS is going to reach out to you once you become a big enough company. You're doing $100 million, right? If you're doing $100 million, you're going to be on the spotlight, and they're going to do some looking. But before that, they're not going to do any looking at all unless you're scamming people. And so as long as you're not just straight up scamming people, or as long as you're not making money for people that are sanctioned individuals in places like Iraq, Afghanistan, Russia. So that's where you can get in trouble, is you just have to make sure you know who you're dealing with, right? Who's trading your tokens, who's holding your NFTs, put some systems in place to ensure that you have safety and security around that, and you're fine. And as regulation and guidance comes around, and maybe they want everyone in the United States that's participating in this to give their KYC information, well, we're now a trustworthy brand at that point. And if someone wants to remain anonymous and not partake, well, then unfortunately that might just be the way that it is. But if you don't care to remain anonymous and you are in the United States and you want to partake in this, well, there's nothing around not having a private investment group. So you can form your own private REIT, if you will. And so that's kind of how it would work with real estate, is if you had anyone that wanted to invest in real estate here with you and you tokenized it into that, you just have to make sure that everyone's KYC'd. So maybe if we did real estate, there would be a section where there's multiple things here too. If you don't want to just fully KYC someone and add them to the actual deed of trust, then you need to actually create a REIT. But to create a real REIT, you can only have accredited investors join your investor party. And so that right there is really annoying to me, and I feel like that's a massive red flag by our government. They say it's under the guise of protection. They say that, we only want someone that has $1 million net worth, making over $250K a year to be able to invest in a REIT, because we don't want you to lose your money. Right? No, screw you. You don't get to tell me what I can do with my money. It's whatever I want to do. And so what I want to do is I want to enable people. I've got plenty of friends that have 20 to 30 to 50 to 60 grand They're not an accredited investor. They don't have a $1 million net worth, but they'd love to go and buy a quarter of a property. And so that's what you can enable is you can go and you have to just take a little bit more sensitive information of everyone that's going to be grouped together. And I think that there are probably limits as well for how many people. And so that's when you have to get into very creative things, speaking with attorneys, where let's say there's a limit of only 90 people that can be on a private REIT. And after that point, it gets to be, it's something classified as something different. Well, and you have 10,000 people that want to invest. You go and you create 90 different companies with, or however many, 90 different companies with 90 different people in each, something like that. And so there's a lot of different ways around it. It's really annoying, but that's the thing is that's why we didn't get into real estate right away. We want to establish ourselves and be very income producing in other avenues. And it's going to be a big headache to get into real estate. But as you said yourself, it would be something awesome to get into. But it's definitely regulated. It's the most regulated thing.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's like, I think the biggest thing that I've seen with a lot of these crypto projects that are coming out that try to bridge that gap, right, between DeFi and property acquisition and then sharing that revenue is, the regulations really put a damper on that, along with, like you said, right, if you're just a small income revenue generating project, you might not get looked at by the IRS now, but I think everybody's business goal at some point in their business forecast, they want to get bigger, and when you get bigger, then you gotta have to have those precautions to deal with said, like you said, the IRS with SEC messing with you, all that. So that is something definitely that I think is still a very big challenge, and I'm excited to see that. So when you said that right off the bat, I was like, I want to see. The next question I have is, where you're talking about you want to get these multiple income streams with AlphaShares, is could you kind of just do a quick breakdown of every sector that you would like your company to reach? So you talked about real estate, but what are some other sectors that as a company you want to make sure that your users can kind of benefit from different revenue streams? You don't have to go like super in depth to each one, just like real estate X, Y, Z, that type of thing.
Sure. I'll give a little alpha here, but I'm not going to specify it as alpha, but it'll come out as something that not really anyone but this community has heard about. But I'm not going to even specify which part of what I'm going to say is that. I'll just let it slip out because it is exciting. It's something that I was actually just talking with my business partner about yesterday. But like I said, first, NFT marketplace, we want to be full of platforms that are fee-producing platforms. So a marketplace is one. When someone trades, there's a fee taken, small fee, and that fee goes back to the community. Same with an auto compounder. So an auto compounder, if you're not familiar with that, it's basically if there are staking pools that earn you a 10% APR and it doesn't compound your earnings back into principal, well, you can go and people have made contracts that just go and look into those staking pools and will automatically take your principal balance and your rewards that you earn after a certain period of time and will auto compound it for you so that you earn an APY instead of an APR. So you make more than that 10%, you do nothing, and we take a performance fee practically. So another fee producer. And that's all about TVL. So if you can get $100 million, $250 million locked in there, you're making a percentage of all of that $250 million that's sitting in there in auto compounding. Then you get into something like a launch pad. So a launch pad, that's where, the people that are within our community, they can go and either, depending on how we structure the launch pad, it could be where it's just a push where when we launch something, the community either gets a discount on something on the mint or an airdrop of something, or even as simple as, when we take a percentage of their mint because we're launch padding them and we're incubating them, we're going to be an incubator. Any gains we make get split back up to the community as well. Not any, but the majority. So the majority of the fees we make right now, 70% of the fees on the marketplace go back to the community. And we'll keep that pretty consistent. There are more fee producers than just that. I mean, we have a lot of things on mind. The DEX is actually something that's going to be released very soon. There's many things about the DEX that we're going to be doing differently. I don't actually want to get into those because I kind of want to keep them secret before anyone else goes and tries to snag them. So that will actually be launched pretty soon. I was just with John, my co-founder, yesterday, and I was actually at his house and I was seeing the development of the DEX, and it's pretty much there. So that'll be very soon. We've already got the design ready. But we're working on a lot of other cool things too. So really, I think one cool thing is the incubator that we're having a lot of companies that we want to incubate. It's not just going to be traditional NFT collections like, oh, I want to make a Doodles fuck, what is it called when you derivative? Oh, I want to make this derivative, I want to make that, and okay, cool, yeah, we'll help you. No, it's not just that. We're actually wanting to incubate real businesses that are doing a similar thing to what we're doing, that utilized an NFT collection or a token to bootstrap and to not crowdfund, but to raise fundraise. And those are what we're going after, because when we incubate those companies, we actually can have potential ownership in those, and those could be really large businesses, and that's something that gets shared back to our community. But we're looking to a lot of other really fun things too, like even Bitcoin mining, other software as a service, platforms as a service, really just anything that's a true business, right? Anything that can take capital from the beginning and invest it into something that ends up making a return that's not dependent on other people investing. Anything like that, really. But we obviously know we can't spread ourselves too thin either. So we got to tackle one thing at a time. But we'd love to be that hub for everything. I mean, we're going to be multi-chain. We're going to have a DEX. We're going to have an NFT marketplace. We're going to have an auto compounder. We're going to have a staking platform. We're going to give you the opportunity to invest into things like Bitcoin mining. And it's all under one platform, and it's across all chains. So if we are successful in making this happen, which we've already literally hit every roadmap item that we've said we will so far, yeah, I don't see why anyone wouldn't want to use us. Then it's just, at that point, it's like we fucking suck at marketing if we can't get people to use us, which is not going to be the case, especially with Randy.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I asked that question was we do see sometimes projects, again, they spread themselves too thin where they're super ambitious and they want to, get at all these different streams that it kind of like makes them not put as much attention to some things as they should, and then they let other things slack or they over focus on something, so it's really trying to find that balance for sure. So what you were talking about where, and this will be my last question, I'll hand it back over to Zach, is where you would like to get into something like Bitcoin mining, or like you said, like we talked about with real estate, and instead of like being the builders of this, or like even the DEX, right? Instead of being the builders and building that infrastructure and basically creating the wheel, have you thought about just getting strategic partners that you can have some like win-win value where you've already have established DEXs, you already have projects like Hydrowells or Ace Miners where you could work out a strategic partnership where they already have that infrastructure in place, and then you can just add your value where you could, or are you just like really wanting to build this yourself?
Well, it's a good question, and the reason why is because we know that our infrastructure is better than all the other competitors. So I get what you're saying, but the way that we see it isn't that these people are like we could help boost them up, but rather there are some awesome projects that are happening right now, but these projects aren't doing it the best way. So like when it comes to Bitcoin mining or a DEX and how the DEX wants to operate, what we're trying to do with all of these things is give a unique spin on them that makes them more attractive and different than the current competition. And so I don't really want to get too into the specifics of some of these because we haven't fully fleshed out all of the ideas. But when it comes to the DEX and how we want to operate that DEX, it's going to operate obviously like a DEX, and for anyone that wants to use it as a DEX, they'll use it as a DEX. But from the sense of would we rather go to another DEX to kind of help them out with anything? The reason why we're putting a DEX into our platform is because we're putting everything in one spot. And so we want people to not have to go to this DEX and go to this mining platform and go to this and go to that. The whole reason here is to put everything into one hub. And we're only putting things under one hub that we know have a competitive advantage over anyone else. So we're not going to just say, we're going to create a hub of services and products that are almost just as good as the ones that are doing it solo. No, instead we're going to be making a hub of products and services that are better than the existing products and services. And not only are they better, but you don't have to go to a bunch of different places. It's all under one umbrella. And so in terms of stuff like Bitcoin mining as well, just to give you an insight on that, like we've got infrastructure for where that can happen and the power costs for cheaper than anyone else that's doing it.
Nice. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, thank you for answering that. And I want to thank Randy as well. Not only is he probably great for you all marketing, but he's working with me to try to build out some really cool designs for the future when I want to sell some merch for my personal channel. So yeah, he's a really good guy to have if anybody in the audience wants to also have any type of merch made or marketing. He's a good dude.
Beautiful. Yeah, I met at his office.
and I'll
Sorry,
hand
go
it
ahead.
back over to Zach.
Okay. Yeah, no, Randy's awesome though. I met he's local to me, so that's what made it really work. Is that we just met at his office and we went for coffee the other day. So that's better. Most of the people that I work with in the space, I haven't even seen in person. So
Yeah, that's super cool. And speaking of Think Randy, he said, Austin and Zach, you guys are awesome. I appreciate that, Randy. He said, this question is for you. What can AlphaShares do for Cardinal House that can be useful for this community? Would you be interested in NFT knowledge, trade information, giveaways, or anything else? A couple ideas that popped in my head actually was, I'm not sure if you guys have seen our education center, but we have kind of like this A to Z of how to get started in crypto, what different topics are, and really just explains the whole DeFi space and crypto space to people that have never even heard of it before. Like it could take them from A to Z, and really just breaking down that barrier to entry. So what we're doing with other projects and communities is integrating that within their websites, or if they have specific knowledge, like I'm sure you guys know a lot about the NFT space because obviously you're making an NFT marketplace. So that'd be one way that we could maybe provide value to the space as a whole, is through that education piece. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that, as far as maybe putting out some articles or videos on that education center. Yeah.
no, I think education would be great. I think that I think that we should totally have a discussion, maybe even privately if you guys want to have one where even we put together like a little how-to or some fun tips around why we started, how we started, what this is, what's different about us, whatever educational material you want that adds value to your community. That's what we're always here for too. And that's a one main reason and premise I want to get across with this pitch too, is that we want to be that go-to community for other communities, because other platforms that are out there trying to build similar projects, I don't know, I consider many of them to be unethical and doing things the wrong way. And so if you're doing things the right way and you give people the opportunity to own a part of this brand, we see no reason for this to fail. And so that's where we'd love people to get education on this. And then if they love the education that they receive and they really enjoy what's going on here, well, guess what? You can literally become an owner of it. And that's the best part of this.
Yeah. I think there's definitely a lot of ways to work together to add value to the space as a whole. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. And another thing that just popped in my head was maybe even a podcast. I know you mentioned you were interested in real estate. We got Austin interested in real estate. Myself, I'm not like super deep into real estate, but I have like taken the education required to get your real estate license. So I have a little bit of knowledge there, not a lot, not nearly as much as you guys probably have, but even just a podcast episode I think would be super fun, or around NFTs. That'd be cool.
Yeah. No, I could talk everyone's ear off about real estate because that's what I do every day, all day, every day.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah, and then kind of one of the last questions I had was, what do you do on a personal level to maybe better yourself every single day to then translate into being a better CEO or a teammate or employer, or whatever the case may be in a business sense?
Structure. I'd say that it's structure is something that, as we've built this from the ground up, as anyone else that's started a business here, there's no structure in the beginning. You have an idea, and you go hard at tackling that idea, and you do everything that you possibly can to make that idea successful. But during that time, you're not necessarily thinking about the structure or looking too far ahead because the shit's per se hitting the fan. And maybe not in a bad way. It's just that you're running around and you're running your head off and you can't necessarily structure everything. So as moving forward, as we have gotten through our mint, gotten through our launch, hit the success that we wanted to hit, and really had just an amazing launch last week. My main focus for the last week has really been structure. Has been, how do I ensure that not only is the company, the roles, the responsibilities, what everyone's doing structured, but also is the roadmap structured? Is the community structured? Is our marketing structured? Is everything that we're doing structured so that not only do we have something to look forward to, where we, have an idea of progression and projection. Because when you're not structured at all, you have no idea what's going to happen the next day. You don't have anything to look forward to. It's hard to get the team to have a ton of camaraderie. And so, yeah, that's been the main focus recently, is just making sure that everything's structured, that everyone's on the same page. And that's how you make this happen, is that everybody, including the community, understands the vision and the end all here. So I'd say that that's the main focus here, for my position at least.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And I think one thing that you touched up on that really resonates with me is making sure everybody, including the community, is on the same page with what the vision is. And I think that that's super crucial to let your community in on that. And one thing that we're doing here, and I think a lot of people could adopt this, is we did a vision meeting a few weeks ago where we brought the core team on the AMA stage and just talked about what we're excited for in the future of the space of Cardinal House, and really just like everything that we have in the works and why we're so passionate about what we do. And I think that even projects or you guys or any community could really, I don't want to say like adopt it, but maybe incorporate that. But yeah, definitely an interesting thing to touch up on.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. One thing that I did want to touch on too, that I just remembered that I didn't touch on at all, is kind of just looking back. What did I forget about something? It's just our awesome partnerships real fast, because I did mention everything about what we're doing. But to enable what we're doing, really, we went out and really partnered with some professional companies and teams. So we're for security reasons, or not security reasons, but for our security partners, we're with RugDoc for our KYC, as well as Paladin, which they're owned by the same company. So for our security auditing, everything like that, we've worked very, very closely with Paladin, and then RugDoc has done all of our KYC services. But then our most important partner, I'd say, when it comes to the technology and what we can provide, is Notify. And I think a few of you here know about Notify and what they're doing, but they're our big technology back-end partner. So they've been building out pretty much everything that we need for the back end of a marketplace to succeed. So the search API, the filtering, rarity, how it ingests the images that are on chain on IPFS and then puts them into a centralized storage system so that you can actually access them quickly, so that everything's quick and snappy. Without those partnerships and without what we've built and established in that sense, we wouldn't have such a premium marketplace.
Got it. Yeah, partnerships are, I think, super crucial in this space. Working together and finding ways to provide value to each other definitely is the way to go. Are there any other last things that you'd like to touch up on?
I'll just answer Rokit's question real fast. He said, have you identified any gaps in the expertise of your team that you're looking to currently fill, or resources needed that you'll reach your goals, or needed that will let you reach your goals? Or are you set to continue hitting all your goals? So goals are subjective, really. I mean, we have some objective goals, and those objective goals have all been absolutely smashed, and we're going to keep smashing those. But you have to have a range of goals that you set as well from a subjective standpoint of, okay, you need to hit these goals. Those are your objective standpoints. But what do you want to hit? Where do you want to be at by this point? And if you're not there, what do you need to do? If you're past there, what do you do now? So we've all got those. In terms of gaps we're looking to fill, we're a growing company. So we're always looking to have people reach out that have specific skill sets. There are either, there could be some gaps that are existing, but there also are gaps that aren't there that will come up later as we grow and expand. And so we want to be sure that we're on top of that. And so we are really letting everyone know, anyone that has skill sets that is interested in building this type of company, interested in what we're doing and wanting to help out, reach out. We're always looking for as much interest as possible.
Got it. Yeah, I think that's definitely very crucial, is hiring the right people. As simple as that sounds, like it's, I think, one of the most complicated tasks for a business is getting the correct people on the team that have those synergies with everybody else and really just work together almost seamlessly.
Completely. And then so we got our mint open up tomorrow, second week. The last one sold out in less than 24 hours, and so get on in there. If anyone that's in here right now wants to join our Discord and hang out with us and be there for tomorrow, we're going to have a live DJ that's always there during the beginning of our mints. We'll see how long this one takes to mint out, but yeah, exciting times. I've been seeing a ton of big buys coming in, especially this morning. People just prepping, getting ready for this mint. So
Super
5:30
exciting.
Eastern, I think. Yes.
Super exciting stuff. I'm looking forward to it, and I really appreciate you taking the time to hop on this AMA. I know you've got a lot going on, and I know your time is very, very valuable, and everybody in the audience as well. I think everybody's time is very valuable, so taking the time to hear what we have to say is always very, very appreciated.
Yeah, definitely. I really do appreciate, even these tight knit AMAs. It seems like everybody here has questions to ask, is interested, engaged. I'll take that any day over, just a shill space where you get 50, 60, 100 people that are in there just because they're hoping for a giveaway. So, no, I love this, and I appreciate you guys having me on board. Having taken the time, the hour of your day, and putting me up on the stage.
Of course. You're welcome back anytime. I know you guys have a lot of super amazing stuff in the works. And yeah, super fun to hear from you, so I appreciate that.
Of course, yeah. No, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day too. And yeah, we're really super excited for what's going on tomorrow. I hope to see. I'm sure that there are some members in here that maybe went and took place in our first mint, but if not, I would love for seeing all of you guys in our mint tomorrow, hanging out in our Discord.
Yeah, I just put a link to your Discord in the chat. So if you guys want to check that out, be sure to join their Discord. And yeah, with that being said, again, thank you for coming on, and I hope that everybody has a great rest of their day.
Thank you, you too. Thanks, Austin. Thank you, Zach.
Have a good day, guys.